This is White Plains Week, the weekly news roundup. With your moderator, John Bailey, editor and publisher of the daily internet newspaper White Plains Citizen Net Reporter. Jim Benerofe, editor and publisher of SuburbanStreet.com and WhitePlains.com. And Peter Katz, noted broadcaster and journalist. White Plains Week, what's happened, who are the newsmakers, and what's in store for the future. The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the participants. White Plains Week is presented Fridays at 7:30 and again on Mondays at 7 p.m. here on Channel 76. Now, White Plains Week.
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. White Plains and Westchester, and all our viewers around the world on WhitePlainsWeek.com. This is John Bailey. This is White Plains Week, the City News Roundup Show, our 16th year in broadcasting all to the city of White Plains. I'm joined, of course, by Jim Benerofe, the dean of the School of Journalism in White Plains. And on my right, Peter Katz, the anchor for all seasons. Jim, how about those headlines?
Okay, and here are the headlines for the week of February 5th. Common Council keeps FASNY on the table as city appeals Judge Lefkowitz ruling. Common Council approves two 28-story residential apartment towers and large retail space to replace White Plains Pavilion. Common Council refers out plans new owners of City Center plan for City Center makeover. City gears up for first meeting for citizens to tell what they want to see developed at the City Railroad Station area. Esplanade attorneys give update on Esplanade Senior Living Center. Says there are only 21 residents left to relocate. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand calls for tough guidelines on issuing prescription opioids. The State Education Department says ELA tests will be shorter. Beware making deposits. There have been 3 bank robberies in the county in Yorktown, Millwood, Chappaqua, and Mount Pleasant. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission refuses to review its approval of the Algonquin natural gas pipeline. The Westchester Children's Museum says it will open again in mid-February. Bob Elliott, the Bob of the radio comedy team of Bob and Ray, died this week at the age of 92 at his home.
Thank you, Jim. And right now, I'd also like to say that we welcome all the barristers who are watching tonight. Let the barristering begin. Right? Let's go to the White Plains Week Rolo Newsreel March of Time for this week. And you are looking at the home of the first Supreme Court Justice of the United States,
now
John Marshall.
That's over on Etheldridge Avenue?
Not really, no, but you'd be a good judge, right. Now, the point is, I was down in Richmond, Virginia, and North Carolina over the weekend on a family outing, and walking through Richmond, we passed this home, and we also saw this. Next slide, and that is the Confederate White House, where President of the Confederacy, Jefferson Davis, lived for 4.5 years from 1860 to 1865 before he had to flee as Union troops took the city of Richmond. Now, the reason I show this is I walked through this. They can't let you take photos, but when you walk through these buildings of the past and think of the personalities that held meetings in this house to discuss the war between the states and the strategies. When you go into the library, which is in the lower right-hand lit window there, where Abraham Lincoln talked over strategies and the status of the war after the federal troops had taken over the House. The ghosts speak to you, and the passions of the South and passions that we see today just wash over you. The ghosts speak to you. And
so are there some ghosts in White Plains?
The ghost of FASNY continues to linger in White Plains.
Maybe the White Plains Historical Society could keep some of the ghosts alive? Feed them occasionally?
Right, exactly. But anyway, the next slide, of course, goes right to the shocker of the week.
Which is?
The vote on FASNY did not get voted. Because, Jim, you were there.
Well,
what happened?
You know, if that picture looks a little fuzzy, folks, the problem is in your television set.
Yes, yes. This was shot right off the city website. Right. So anyway, Jim, take us through it.
At any rate, the meeting was fairly crowded. They had tabled the I don't know, what was it, a resolution?
The resolution to approve the site plan.
To approve the site plan. And I guess they tabled it because the city is appealing the judge's decision.
Well, they had tabled it last time when this came up for a vote. They voted down a resolution that would have closed Hathaway Lane.
Right.
And because they voted that down, they decided not to close Hathaway Lane. They figured we don't have to vote on the rest of the site plan and the permits and all of that stuff, because without the closure of Hathaway Lane, it's not a viable project.
Right.
Right. So that had been done, and what they did was they tabled the second part of what they were supposed to vote on the FASNY project. Okay. So what they did this time was to have a vote as to whether to remove that from the table. When you remove something from the table, you bring it to the floor of the council where it can actively be discussed and voted upon.
You kick it off the table and you put it on the floor.
Two members of the council wanted to untable it.
Wanted to remove it from the table, bring it to the council floor.
Beth Smeda and Nadine Hunt Robinson.
Robinson.
Now, the interesting thing about that was that they had voted differently on whether to approve the closure of Hathaway Lane.
Right. And they
Hunt Robinson said, no, I don't want to close Hathaway Lane.
Right.
Smeda said, yes, we should close Hathaway Lane. So
it was strange that they both were on this side.
Right, yeah, so now they're on the same side here. So,
at any rate, the council voted it down. They left it on the table.
Right.
And complete defiance of Judge Lefkowitz's ruling, which called for them to vote on it.
Yeah, but if you ask the corporation council or you ask the mayor, they'll tell you, we're not defying the judge. We're just exercising our right, because when we file an appeal, we get an automatic stay of whatever the judge's order is that we're appealing. So they said, we're just doing a normal thing here. There's no defiance of the judge. That's what they will say. Others will say, hey, you're defying the judge. You should have just voted on this and been done with it.
It'll be interesting what Judge Lefkowitz will do with them on the 9th, which is when she has called them back in.
In her original order, she ordered the parties to this legal action to appear for a conference, court conference, on February 11th. That now was pushed up a couple of days to February 9th. Just what that conference will entail is anyone's guess, I suppose.
Well, it's
doubtful that they will allow us to be there.
Yes.
Well,
maybe the mayor
would like
will
to be
put
a
it
fly
on
on the wall, watching this. Is the judge going to excoriate the way the city handled this? To tell them, how dare you defy me?
I have not seen their appeal yet.
I haven't seen the appeal.
But there is apparently an appeal that has been filed.
Well, the interesting thing, one thing that I find interesting, John, is that you were tipped off
Yes,
the possibility
absolutely.
of this
We mentioned this
being
last week.
handled the way
Right.
it would be handled. And so the question is, how is it that someone had the information that maybe they would go ahead and do something like this?
Well, I mean, everybody likes to curry favor and make other people feel important to get them on their side, or to assuage their feelings, and that is the source of all leaks. If you want to curry influence, you leak something.
In any event, the council had a full house pretty much in the audience section for this event. It had been put at the very end of the council's agenda, so they moved it up to make it the first order of business. And a lot of people were sandbagged by this. They had, given up their evenings to come to the council meeting, expecting to see this particular hot issue dealt with, and instead the council kicked the can down the road a little bit.
Or at least
what surprised me was that there were not more people there. I mean,
maybe they knew something we didn't.
They filled the chamber. Then there were seats set up outside in the upper hallway, but they had no seats set up downstairs, which normally they would have done. But
and certainly in the past, for some of the FASNY events at council meetings, you've had people spilling out into the upstairs lobby, down the stairs, and in the
But that was not the case this time, and there were not a lot of people there from FASNY. There were some key people there from FASNY, but not...
So it was mostly neighborhood people.
Yeah.
And one of the fellows from FASNY told you?
Well, somebody from FASNY said they felt that what was going to happen is they were just going to go from the council chamber to the courtroom. That was kind of what he said.
Right. So the barristering, I'm going to get that right.
You have to...
Barristering has begun.
Well, a barrister that's a British attorney, so...
Yes.
But
well,
you have to wonder that here you have a situation where we know this is embroiled in legal action. Has the council, by doing what they did, displayed malice? Because if you display malice in your handling of a situation, I believe, and I'm not an attorney, but I believe you set yourself up for tremendous damages should you lose. If the opposing party can show that you acted with malice towards them, I think that could be a very, very precarious situation for the city to be in. And if it were me, and fortunately it wasn't me, I would have been most anxious to vote on this deal already. It's been kicking around for so many years.
I think that one of the problems that the city is going to have is the time that they've taken to make a decision on this represents, shall we say, dilly-dallying. They didn't move, in my opinion. There has never been in the 35 years that I've covered the city anything close to the time they've spent on this. And you got to give the property owner an answer.
Even
time is money.
Some of the highly contested New York Presbyterian Hospital proposals
it wasn't even close.
Didn't come close to
2 years.
this
I
long.
think that was.
Yeah.
But and the mayor, if we got a shot of the mayor here, this was his a still of him as he was announcing that the stay had been was in that the appeal had been launched and that they were going to move ahead with it. And meanwhile, the thing will not be voted on. And then...
But they did vote on some other stuff at this council
yes,
meeting.
And a lot happened, as we had spoken of the last...
Now the mayor appealed to the audience members to please be quiet as they exited because they had lots of other business.
Don't slam the door on your way out, that's basically. And the first great thing that happened was we're going to see a new invention of a White Plains pavilion, if we can have the shot. And there is
Well, they
one of
approved,
the
they
views.
approved the project.
Right. That's right.
In their votes, and this is where the old Alexander's was, where the Pavilion Mall
right.
now stands, and so that'll be demolished, and this project will go in there.
Right.
Big project, about
Various
$275 million involved here. What, 700 apartments? Is that right, Jim?
I think
That's
there's
the view,
approximately
looking at it from the Maple
750
side.
apartments and somewhere around 80 to 90,000 square feet of retail space.
And they're talking about some restaurants, some outdoor dining,
Yeah, they're
terracing
gonna
Maple
primarily-
Avenue
That's
to
the
make it,
South
to make
Broadway
it
side.
pedestrian friendly. And the mayor's pitch here was that this is going to affect that whole neighborhood, make it very attractive to pedestrians. He had high praise for the streetscape that they've managed to put together in this proposal.
Right. Said it was going to be almost terraced.
On Maple Avenue,
yes,
instead of it
and,
being a steep hill,
slow down the traffic,
you'll now be able
going up the hill.
to walk up more easily.
And when it's not 30 degrees and snowing, enjoy the outside dining.
Hey, we had a little snow again today, didn't
Yes,
we?
right.
It looked like maybe this was going to be a really mild winter, but we had a
There you
wet
go.
snowfall this morning. Looked like 3 to 4 inches, and the city didn't seem to plow the neighborhoods this time around. In our area, we had a salt
Well,
truck
they plowed
come
a lot
through
of them.
dumping salt. We did see some plows out as we were going around the city, but the downtown was really in good shape, even if some of the neighborhood streets had yet to
Right. And
care of.
now, we're going to come up. Can we go to the shot of the train station, please? That is the Richmond train station, and the reason that is there is this is my idea for what the new train station down in downtown White Plains should look like. This building was preserved by the city of Richmond. It's all marble inside. It's just a beautiful tribute to the past. Of course, we had a station that was like that, and we tore it down.
Well, but look, John, we already have the clock tower at our
right.
train station.
The ugly
so we
clock
just have
tower.
to build the rest of it.
Right. But anyway, the reason I put this
Well,
up
you can bring this picture with you
Yes.
to the meeting at the library on February,
Wednesday.
Right.
Wednesday, and you are asked if you have strong feelings on how the area around the White Plains train station should be developed, attend the meetings at Thursday, February the 11th, 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the White Plains Public Library. The snow date is March the 3rd, and then there is also one in June, on Wednesday, June 15th, 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., but it's important that you attend in there and start giving the Parsons Brinkerhoff
That's the consultant.
your
The consulting firm that was
input
hired.
on what you think should be around. Now, that includes the areas of beginnings of Battle Hill, the county center, and of course Main Street, the Galleria.
Well, the area that they're looking at goes all the way up to Church Street.
Right. And we've shown the picture of the circle many times, and oddly enough, on the city website they don't show that circle of this effect that they should. They should say a lot more things about it. Now, going to some more development news. The Common Council referred out plans to new owners of the city center, plans for city center makeovers. And this is the overhead view of the city center. And in the lower left, they are going to redo the fountain area. Jim, they're going to put it...
If these pictures look out of focus, it's because they were out of focus when John took these from the city website, from the replay of the council meeting that's on the city website, and it was just out of focus for whatever reason.
And then Jim, they are going to reinstall valet parking on a portion of the sidewalk.
You know, this is really useless trying to look at this. I can't make it out.
Right, and
they're
then
going to make a new curb cut there, so that there will actually be a real drop-off point.
Yeah,
In addition to which
what they're doing really goes back to what Capelli had talked about doing originally when he first built this, which was to have escalators for the movie theaters out on the Mamaroneck Avenue side, so you can just walk in, go up the escalators, and be in the movie theaters without a whole lot of hassle.
And also, they are going to redo the entrance on Mamaroneck Avenue to the movies. They're going to put it in an escalator.
That's what I
and it's
just
very
said.
rough stuff. And we await that, or we await their actual plans. Now, an attorney from the Esplanade, if we can have that, gave us an update on the Esplanade situation with its residents. The Esplanade is a senior living facility at the present time that is planning to convert to a rental market rate.
Well, they're going to redo
Right.
the building. They're going to upgrade it. It had been like a nursing home assisted living facility, and they're going to turn it into
an apartment house.
an apartment house.
Yes.
Essentially, more luxurious than it's
And
been.
all that the council did was say that the concept of the repurposing was fine.
Yeah.
Right. But the attorney stated all the things they'd been doing to ease the moving out of some 21 persons left there who have not
there was
found
a bit of a
alternative
controversy.
living.
Even
Yeah.
WCBS Channel 2 in New York got into covering the story here because there are a bunch of senior citizens who were unceremoniously told that they would have to leave. Their living facility was going to be turned into something else.
Well, he pointed out that there was no formal notice given to anybody.
A lot of
And
rumors,
they would
though.
probably have until 2017 and even the beginning of 2018.
Well,
Yeah.
Brian Conybeare, who did the story for WCBS, had interviewed a fellow there, a resident there, who presented himself as being the head of a residents' organization and expressed great distress at having himself and others being told that they would have to find
Well,
someplace else
one
to
of the
go.
things that was pointed out, it is very tough for people that age to be put in a position where they have to move. Moving is a really traumatic experience. I mean, you're talking about people, some of whom are in their 80s and 90s there, and that's a big deal.
And Milagros Lacuna, the councilwoman, also took the mic to point out that when she attended a meeting of residents in November to protest all this, they were pretty much in the dark, and she felt that the outreach that the Esplanade had done was not as hands-on as the attorney was talking about. It was really interesting, and I know we heard rumors of this because we've learned that the nursing facility had lost its license earlier, was taken away, and there was no confirmation as to why that we could find out. So we knew something was going on there, and I believe then there's now legislation being developed up in Albany to sort of regulate this kind of transfer of what you do with the building, so that people living in these assisted living facilities or senior living residences are not overly affected. The Esplanade also said for the first time their building was antiquated, they couldn't remodel it, and that they are sort of losing out to more modern facilities like the Kensington and the one down
Bristol.
and the Bristol. And
I mean, could not remodel it as far as a health care facility goes, or a senior citizen.
That's right.
Yeah, they
the,
couldn't.
the amenities are out.
Model this building to accommodate real senior citizens.
So they have to figure out something else to do with the building, basically.
Yeah. Today, there was a press release put out by New York's senator in Congress, Kirsten Gillibrand, who called for tougher guidelines on issuing prescriptions for acute pain of
Well, the
opioids.
issue, John, is that the heavy-duty prescription, heavy use of opioids for pain relief can lead to addiction,
Dependence, yes.
drug dependence, and so Gillibrand has joined with many others in Congress who see this as a winning issue for them. And we will have to see what happens.
Well, we need more information about the opioids, particularly from around our health experts around in the county as to what is happening with this stuff.
Well, the children...
We had 4 persons supposedly helped out by the police and sent to the hospital last week or so. And we don't know who they were, how old they were, and we don't know what they were using.
Victims of an overdose of something.
Yeah. Right.
We didn't get details. There was no identifications given on the individuals as far as we know.
Right.
The Westchester Children's Museum says that it's going to open again this month, and they intend to be a year-round operation over at Playland.
Right, but I don't see that much progress in getting exhibits in there, but we'll have to see, but that's what they said. Now,
there was a very sad thing this week, was the passing of Bob Elliott, the Bob of Bob and Ray, radio comedy team, television comedy team. They were on Broadway, and they were also well known not only as Bob and Ray, but as Burt and Harry Piel, doing beer commercials, pioneering beer commercials in the late 1950s, and we happen to have a Burt and Harry Piel commercial.
This is Burt Instant Refreshment Piel talking to you from ringside at New York's famous Madison Square Garden. Our guest tonight is the famous hockey star, Philippe Duprade.
Burt thought you'd be interested in why Mr. Duprade prefers our refreshing beer. Unfortunately, he speaks no English.
Never mind, Harry, I'll handle this. Monsieur Duprade, why do you prefer Piel's beer? Je ne comprends pas.
See, Burt, he doesn't...
He said because Piel's is just what he looks forward to after a long, hard night on the ice. He said
But, Burt, he only said a few words.
Never mind, Harry. Let's whet a few appetites and show the viewers what Big Philippe means. Here it is, viewers, instant refreshment from the first taste.
Well, that's because our beer is cool brewed, chilled as it's brewed and aged. And that locks in that clean Piel's flavor.
Ah, mais c'est la bien Piel. Alors, comme c'est rafraîchissant, comme c'est magnifique.
Well, what's he saying now, Burt?
I think he's trying to say hello to his mother in Montreal.
And so Bob Elliott was Harry Piel on the right, Ray Goulding was Burt Piel on the left, and that was a Burt and Harry Piel commercial from the late 1950s.
all right. Well, we've just come to the end of another White Plains week, and I came across a saying on a calendar I was given over the holidays, which I think after the debates we've seen the last 6 or 7 months is very apropos. And we leave you with this. Love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. John Bailey, Peter Katz, Jim Benerofe. Good night.
White Plains Week has been a presentation of White Plains Citizen Net Reporter, WPCNR.com, in cooperation with Channel 76. Comments may be emailed to WPCNR@AOL.com. The copyrighted print White Plains Cityscape by Leonard Weber is used courtesy of the White Plains Presbyterian Church. For information on its availability, you may contact the church at 761-8585. The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants. White Plains Week is presented Fridays at 7:30 and again on Mondays at 7 p.m. here on Channel 76. For White Plains Week, this is Seth Benerofe speaking.